Chapter 401, True Flame Sect. Several days later on Seafig Island, a streak of azure light approached the island from afar, then faded to reveal a burly male figure. The man was none other than Han Li, but he had disguised himself as an unremarkable-looking middle-aged man with a dark complexion. He hovered in mid-air in a still manner as he inspected his surroundings with his bright-sight spirit eyes, and right at this moment, an egg-shaped blue light barrier appeared over the island down below. Immediately thereafter, an opening appeared in the light barrier, and before Han Li had a chance to do anything, a voice rang out from within the light barrier. "Come in, Xianxia." Han Li raised an eyebrow, then descended into the blue light barrier, following which the opening was instantly sealed. And the light barrier itself also vanished shortly thereafter. There was a hemispherical space that was no more than 1,000 feet in size beneath the light barrier, and the air temperature was quite high. Upon entering the space, Han Li was surprised to find a group of cultivators that were completely unfamiliar to him. However, there was a black-robed elderly man who was looking at him with a smile, and standing beside him was a woman in a yellow dress. It didn't take long for Han Li to figure out that these two were none other than Taoist Hu Yan and Yun Ni, and just like him, they had also adopted disguises. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Martial Uncle. I was delayed a little on the way here," Han Li said as he cupped his fist in an apologetic salute while taking a glance at the other people present. Standing behind Taoist Hu Yan and Yun Ni were 9 cultivators dressed in fiery red Taoist robes, each with an extremely lifelike fire raven embroidered onto the sleeve, and it seemed that they were all from the same sect. There was an unnatural flush on the faces of all 9 cultivators, and they were also giving off formidable fire attribute spiritual power fluctuations, indicating that they were all using fire attribute cultivation arts. The 9 cultivators were led by a trio that consisted of an elderly man with red hair and a red beard, a physically imposing, bare-chested man, and a middle-aged woman who appeared to be in her 40s. Their auras weren't as formidable as Taoist Hu Yan and Yun Ni's, but the 3 of them were clearly all golden immortals, and the elderly man's cultivation base was slightly more advanced than the other 2. "Come here, Xianxia. These are all fellow Taoists from the ancient Cloud Continent's True Flame Sect, and they'll be accompanying us into the infernal Frost Immortal Manor. This is Sect Master Xianxia, and these 2 are Elder Zhen Yun and Elder Lu Lan. Fellow Taoists, Qianyu is my nephew, and he's a very alert young man with a decent cultivation base, so he should be of some help to us in the Immortal Manor," Taoist Hu Yan introduced with a smile. "Gu Qianyu pays his respects to the seniors of the True Flame Sect," Han Li said as he cupped his fist in a respectful salute. He had heard of the True Flame Sect before. On the ancient Cloud Continent, it was considered to only be below the top 3 sects, and its members were particularly renowned for their mastery of fire attribute cultivation arts. However, for some reason its members very rarely left the sect, and they kept a rather low profile, so their sect wasn't as renowned as it should have been. Xianxia gave Han Li a slight nod, then turned back to Taoist Hu Yan as he asked, "Isn't it a little premature to be discussing what happens after we enter the Immortal Manor when we don't even know where the entrance is right now, fellow Taoist Gu?" As for the 2 elders, Zhen Yun and Lu Lan, both of them merely took a glance at Han Li before looking away. Han Li wasn't bothered by this, and he made his way over to Taoist Hu Yan and Yun Ni before standing behind them. "I'm sure the 3 of you must have already heard about that piece of news that was released in the Transient Guild. Perhaps the entrance of the Immortal Manor may not actually be there, but at the very least, we have a lead to pursue," Taoist Hu Yan replied with a faint smile. "It's a great sign of trust that you approached us with the infernal frost scenic painting and offered to let us accompany you into the Immortal Manor. For that, we should be extremely grateful. But at this point, we've already searched through the entire Black Wind Sea without being able to find any leads, and there's no evidence to back up this piece of news, so I'm afraid I'm not very optimistic about its validity. While it's true that this piece of news is unsubstantiated up to this point, regardless of whether it's true or not, we should still go and take a look on Red Moon Island," Yun Ni said. Pardon me for being blunt, but just like you said, no one knows if this piece of news is true or not, and there's a chance that someone intentionally spread this rumour and set up a trap on Red Moon Island for people to fall into. If that's the case, then we'd be making a grave error by going to the island, Zhen said with a shake of his head. Lulan's brows were tightly furrowed as she chimed in. Exactly. There's a chance that this could be a trap set by none other than the Northern Glacial Immortal Palace, so it's best to proceed with caution. The infernal Frost Immortal Manor only emerges once every several tens of thousands of years, and in particular, someone discovered an entirely new area within it last time. There's a very good chance that this area holds high zenith pills, which are immensely beneficial to anyone attempting to reach the high zenith stage. Otherwise, the Northern Glacial Immortal Palace wouldn't have gone to such great lengths to conceal the entrance. This is an opportunity that'll perhaps never come around again. Are you really willing to just back down like this? Taoist Huyan asked as his brows furrowed slightly. Xianxia's expression changed slightly upon hearing this, and he replied, Well, I haven't made any concrete decisions yet. I'm just saying that we should proceed with caution and take our time to make a decision. Zhen and Lulan didn't say anything further, but it was clear that they were still rather doubtful about the situation. Han Li's brows furrowed slightly upon seeing this. These golden immortals from the True Flame sect were clearly tempted by the allure of the treasures in the Immortal Manor, but they weren't displaying any courage or decisiveness in this situation. If this was the personality of their sect master and elders, then it was no wonder that the sect had always kept such a low profile. I understand that you're concerned about the Northern Glacial Immortal Palace. It's true that if we run into them in the Immortal Palace, we'll be no match for them. However, ever since the Blaze Dragon Dao incident, but there's been a great deal of discontent building against the Immortal Palace. According to my knowledge, many powers, including the vast Flow Palace and the Dawnfall sect, have been very displeased with the Immortal Palace's handling of the Blaze Dragon Dao situation, and in particular their concealment of the Immortal Manor's entrance. Essentially, they've made themselves public enemy number one, and I predict that all of those powers will definitely be sending people to Red Moon Island, Taoist Huyan said. If the entrance of the Immortal Manor really is below Red Moon Island, with everyone joining forces against the Immortal Palace, there's no way they'll be able to contend with all of us. Even if this is a trap, it'll be impossible for them to trap us all, so what do we have to fear? Yunni added. What you're saying does make a lot of sense. Xianxia mused as he stroked his own beard, seemingly tempted by what he was hearing, and the same applied to Zhen and Lulan as well. Even if they were to disregard the rumour that there were high zenith pills in the Immortal Manor, all of the other precious treasures inside were already extremely alluring to them. We don't have much time left, so you'll have to make a decision fast, fellow Taoists. Are you really willing to just let this opportunity slip through your fingers? Taoist Huyan asked. A slightly conflicted look appeared in Xianxi's eyes. Of course, we can't just go there recklessly. Instead, we have to establish a plan in advance, Taoist Huyan continued. Han Li took a glance at the True Flame sect cultivators, then smiled as he asked, I'm sure you already have a plan prepared, right, Martial Uncle? Taoist Huyan merely smiled in response, then swept a sleeve through the air to remove the surrounding restriction. After that, a ball of blue light flew out of his sleeve, then transformed into a blue flying carriage with a rather peculiar appearance. There was a cross-shaped windmill on both the front and the back of the carriage, and it was radiating dazzling light while also giving off formidable spiritual power fluctuations. This carriage is something that I obtained from the infernal Frost Immortal Manor many years ago, and it has an exceptional concealment effect, so we should be a lot safer if we take this carriage to Red Moon Island, Taoist Huyan said. Han Li examined the carriage closely to find that it was refined from some special spirit materials, and there were countless complex and profound spirit patterns engraved onto its surface, giving off faint water law fluctuations. Thanks to his heavy water true axis, he was quite sensitive to water law fluctuations, and he could sense that the law fluctuations emanating from the carriage were more geared toward concealment. Hunli decided to lead by example, flying onto the carriage before everyone else, while Xianxia hesitated for a while longer before also doing the same. The two elders and the other 6 true immortal cultivators of the True Flame sect quickly followed suit, flying onto the carriage as well. Taoist Hu Yan and Yun Ni exchanged a smile before also flying onto the carriage. After landing on the carriage, Taoist Hu Yan made a hand seal, and a burst of misty blue light emerged to envelop the entire carriage, instantly concealing both its physical form and its aura, making it completely undetectable.